Mel Albin. I'm the host and the founder of the Jazz Confusion
My
Power
name
Hour.
is Dion Parson, and I'm honored to share my passion of music with you, our listening audience, through my cultural heritage.
Things can change for you too. If you want to be brand new, that is absolutely possible.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Jazz Confusion Power Hour. I'm your host, Mel Albin, and tonight we have another wonderful guest for you on the Power Hour. I want to first explain a little bit about the Power Hour show and about the station, and so you'll get a better idea about what to expect tonight. So I created the Power Hour. I'm the founder of the show, and we feature the best in jazz and jazz crossover. It could be jazz soul, it could be jazz gospel, jazz rock, jazz hip hop, jazz R&B, jazz soul. As long as there is a crossover and there's a tie-in to jazz, we want to keep it alive and preserve it because jazz is the only true American art form. So when you hear on the Power Hour, you're going to hear some wonderful music from the artists that we feature during the week. And you're also going to get to know the artist and about how they go about the business of creating the music that you love. So the Power Hour broadcasts live. We're in exactly 210 countries globally. We also have 16,000 affiliates that carry our programs and rebroadcast them globally. And we also broadcast in streaming, 4K video, and also in Dolby True HD. So the music quality and the visual quality of our shows are top notch. Source is a nonprofit 501c3 radio station, and we do two things. We have two missions. One is to support jazz. Jazz is the only, as mentioned before, the only true American art form, and we want to play jazz 24/7. We have a rotating playlist of over 60,000 songs that changes every 2 to 3 months. And we also have shows on our station devoted to small, Black, and minority businesses, micro businesses that comprise 95% of all the Black businesses in the United States. These micro businesses never have an opportunity to have airtime on radio, and we put them on the Source network. And they also never can't afford the prices from places like Shopify or Amazon. So we work with a sister company, Shop Black Enterprise, and we offer them a platform where they keep 100% of their sales. So our station Source is tied to two things, jazz and to the generational building of wealth within minority and Black communities. That's our mission. We are a nonprofit, like I said, so we depend on contributions and donations from our listeners, from sponsors, and from the artists that we help promote and build and support their careers. They also help to support Source. It's reciprocity, and I have wonderful relationships with artists over the years through Source Radio. So remember, all your donations are tax deductible, and so you can make it directly to this station anytime you want. The Power Hour has had over 150 amazing, well-known artists and musicians and vocalists. Some of the artists on the Power Hour have included Eric Roberson, Mesa, Brian Culbertson, Paul Brown, Raheem Devon, Reagan Whiteside, Alex Harris, Greg Adams, Tom Brown, Costello, Pieces of a Dream, Kamasi Washington, Kiko Matsui, Kim Scott, Sheryl Crow, Billy Ocean, Annie Lennox, Dwelle, Costello, Marie Antoinette, Jay Brown, Blake Aaron, Terry Wollman, Her, Celine Johnson, Mavis Swan Poole, Cecily, the late Bobby Caldwell, Jeff Bradshaw, Dion Parson, Eric Burden, Jeff Beck, and Tammy McCann. That's just a partial list of kind of artists. I want to give you a feel for the diversity of the artists that we have on the show and also the high quality. Tonight is no exception. We have another outstanding artist once again. Long a beloved staple in the New York City jazz scene and world-renowned as a multifaceted concert hall and symphony performer, she has emerged triumphantly from a difficult 3-year hiatus but now she came out with new recordings that found her true musical heart in the process. She emerged with a new project, a self-portrait with illuminating stylistic brushstrokes and an expansive repertoire that takes her far beyond her storied roots as a purveyor of the Great American Songbook. She followed that up with two dazzling LPs, the Judy Garland Project in 2016 and Sophisticated Lady in 2021. And now she's about to release another wonderful project in 2024, and you're going to get to hear the music first here on the Jazz Confusion Power Hour on the Source Radio Network. So let me tell you a little bit more about her. Now that she's back better than ever, and she's bearing her jazz and pop soul like never before, she has collaborated. She celebrates a life of no limitations, and she's full of optimism. The music actually shows her newfound self. And she has also played in Manhattan's famous venues like the Town Hall, Birdland, the Blue Note, the Iridium, 54 Below, Jazz and Lincoln Center, and Carnegie Hall. She's made a concert hall debut in Lincoln Center as part of the American Songbook Series in June 2007. She appeared at Carnegie Hall in a tribute to Oscar Peterson, a performance that was reprised in 2008 at the Canadian Memorial to Dr. Peterson at Roy Thompson Hall alongside Quincy Jones, Herbie Hancock, and Nancy Wilson. Globally, she has headlined at the Umbria Jazz Festival, the Montreal Jazz Festival, the NAMM Jazz Festival, and the Cotton Club in Blue Note in Japan. I can go on and on describing everything she's done. She's a miraculous performer, a terrific artist. She's worked with the legendary Benny Green, with Dave Brubeck, with Hank Jones, Kenny Barron, and she's also won the New York Bistro Award for Record of the Year and received national recognition as a USA Today Best Album of the Year. So please welcome, without any further delay, our special, wonderful guest tonight on the Jazz Confusion Power Hour, Hilary Kole. Welcome, Hilary.
Hi, how are you? It's so good to be here. I'm thrilled.
I am so excited for you to be here. I've followed your career now for almost 3 decades.
Oh my! I was very young when I started, so that won't not be offensive at all.
No, that was pretty much when you did start. One of the things that has always startled me about your jazz musicianship is the quality of your voice. The tonality, the way you phrase things, and you can scat like nobody else today. And that's scatting is a way of emulating an instrument, and you have that capacity to do that. A lot of people try to scat, but it's just do-a-diddy-diddy. But you remind me of Sarah Vaughan, and your voice reminds me of the ethereal Evergreen by Barbra Streisand. So I can't thank you enough for taking the time to be on the show tonight. It's just a real thrill for me. So I like to start off the show by having my special guest tell everybody what's cooking. New music coming out, what you're working on in 2024 and 2025. Go ahead.
Well, I'm so excited to be here. First of all, thank you. I'm thrilled to be here, and thank you for doing what you do. It's such an amazing, unique experience to be able to actually sit down and have a really long form conversation about what an artist is doing. So I'm thrilled to be here, and I appreciate all that you do to kind of help get this music out there. So thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here tonight because I have a lot of things kind of cooking, as you said. First of all, my husband's cooking downstairs. So that is there is something literally cooking in my house right now, which is great. Just so you know, ladies, I found the one guy who cooks. I clean, he cooks. It works out really well. I like to say if it was reversed, we would be very hungry and very dirty because I don't cook very well. Anyway,
just to interrupt you, I am a trained French chef. I was trained at the Culinary Institute of America in Hyde Park years ago, but it has never saved any of my marriages.
Oh,
Go ahead.
I bet you can make a really nice first date though. So good luck with that.
Oh yeah. It's also a very nice last day too.
Yeah. Well, I have a lot of stuff going on. I'm involved in two projects. One is a jazz music project. The other is another music project. I'll tell you a little bit about both things. One, we're going to hear 4 tracks of. So about 2 or 3 months ago, we got into the studio with my longtime friend, Misha Piatigorsky. He's an incredible Russian piano player, arranger, producer. I met him when I was 18 years old at Manhattan School of Music. He was a master's student. I was a freshman. He was, I think he had to do some kind of like job to help with tuition. And so he was the pianist for the jazz choir. And I joined the jazz choir and we met, and he was snarky and arrogant and amazing and talented. And I was like, I like you. And we became best buddies, and we've been collaborating off and on. You know, he works with other singers, other people. I've worked with other rhythm players, but, you know, on and off. And then we kind of got reignited our collaboration during the pandemic. And I often perform live with him in the city and throughout the world. We just did our first recording project together. I don't even have a title yet. I don't know, but we're going to listen to 4 of those tracks. They literally just got, I sent them to you, Mel. You could see I just got them. So I'm waiting for the other 8 there. I think there are 5 more tracks that I haven't heard yet. They're being mastered right now. So they're fresh off the presses. We're going to hear them tonight. Again, I don't even know what the title is going to be, but I'm really excited about the project. It's, you know, very much standards. It's probably, I would say, the most jazz record I've done. There's a lot of scatting on it. There's a lot of freedom on it.
I have a title for you. You can call it All That Jazz.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I'm going to take a poll. So if you have any listeners out there that have, after listening to this, that have ideas, come find me. Come find me on Facebook. Come find me on my website, and you can tell me what title I should have for my record. I usually title it, you know, a song title of one of the recordings. That's very popular. Most artists do that. I was thinking about maybe not doing that this time. So we'll see. So that'll be a challenge for all of you listening. The other project I'm working on is I'm actually writing a musical, and it is a huge project. I've been doing it for a year and a half already, probably about 60 to 70% done. It's all original music. It's very, very exciting. It's very hard. I've been having an amazing time doing it. It's an incredible story that I can't tell you yet about, but hopefully next time. But I will invite you to the reading. So that really occupies a ton of my time. I also have a 6-year-old and a 9-year-old. So I'm mom, as a matter of fact, listeners out there. As 2 minutes before we started the show, my 6-year-old found his way into my studio. So Mel already met him virtually. So, you know, I have a lot of musical, wonderful things that are happening, and I'm excited for the rest of this year, but I'm really excited about next year. I'm also performing the 25th anniversary, holy moly, of an off-Broadway show that I co-wrote and starred in 25 years ago called Our Sinatra. That was kind of the show that put me on the map as a solo artist in the city, in New York City. And I will be performing it with the other original co-creator, Eric Comstock. We're going to be performing at Birdland for 3 nights in November. So I'm excited to go back to Birdland. I have a long history with Birdland, and I'm excited about that as well.
Wonderful. You have a lot going on.
I do.
You know, what I'd like to do tonight, so people can get to know you, is to, you know, I think it's always interesting to me when I hear somebody sing. How did you get there? Yeah. I mean, it's you know, and everybody's got a different story. So, you know, let's start off by talking about your household when you were a child, and you were raised in New York City, correct?
I was raised in New York City, but I moved around a lot, and that is because I was literally born into this career. My father, Robert Kole, was a Broadway singer, Broadway tenor. He was an old gypsy, and he was in 7 Broadway productions from 1950 to 1962. He did not have an unemployed day. He used to tell me the story that he would look out at the audience. And once it got to half filled, he started auditioning for the next show. There were so many musicals back then, really the golden age of musical theater.
Right.
And the height of his career in I think it was 59, was he replaced Larry Kurt and played the part of Tony in the original West Side Story with Leonard Bernstein. And so now that is way before I was, even an inkling in my mother's eye. So how I grew up was after my father kind of finished out his Broadway career, he transitioned into nightclub singing back when there were nightclubs. And I was just basically went from nightclub to nightclub. My mother used to make drawers of the green room. She would like put in a blanket and I would be in a bassinet in the green room of all of these places like the Copa, and specifically up in the Catskill Mountains at the Concord and the Nevele and Raleigh and all of these places. So I really grew up backstage watching my dad. He would pull me up on stage. I loved it. And I would sing duets with him or play the piano. And he was incredibly supportive. He taught me how to sing. I used to tell stories about I would be singing in the shower and I would hear a knock on the door and he would say, "Drop your jaw." So he was incredible. Yeah, he was this incredible performer, just ate the stage. And it was not jazz. It was more traditional, but he was singing Broadway standards.
Show tunes.
I love music, and I really learned how to sing. And I appreciate you saying the name Barbra Streisand. He would put me down in front of the video and he would say, "Watch." And it was either Barbra Streisand or Judy Garland or Frank Sinatra. And I learned from those guys. He wasn't so into jazz, but that's really how I started. So I listened to classical music. I listened to, and I played piano from the time I was 5 years old. I've played cello before. I played cello for years. I ended up going to Manhattan School of Music for composition because I wanted to be a film composer. I wanted to be John Williams and write theme songs like, Raiders of the Lost Ark and things like that. Still one day, maybe that will happen. On my way to becoming a film composer, I started singing in the jazz choir at Manhattan School of Music, and that really changed my life. I met some incredible mentors. Jackie Presti was my choir director, and she said to me, I was telling her I need a job, and she got me an audition to sing at the legendary Rainbow Room when I was 19 years old.
Wow.
And that is how I started my career.
Not a shabby way to start.
Not that way.
Go ahead, you can tell me more. I'm listening.
Oh yeah. So I mean that's really, I really grew up with music. And then even on my mom's side, my mom is not a musician, but her mother was a Juilliard trained pianist. My grandmother, who lived to be 104 years old.
Wow.
She was also the first female booking agent in the tri-state area. She used to book the Meadowbrook, which was a very famous dance supper club in New Jersey. And I grew up with all of these pictures of her and these amazing looking people on the walls. And then not until I went to college, when I went to Manhattan School of Music, did I realize oh my God, that's Sarah Vaughan. That's Louis Armstrong. That's Count Basie, because they all went through that scene and she booked all of them. The first the first big act that she ever booked was Dinah Washington. And apparently the story goes, Dinah Washington made her wait 2.5 hours. She was 2.5 hours late to the gig. And my grandmother got through it. And then my grandmother said, "Man, I love this business." And she was in business booking acts she was still booking when she was 90 years old. So I think she was
my goodness.
in business for about 75 years.
So tell me, where did the jazz come from?
Where did the jazz come from? So I ended up going to Manhattan School of Music. Funny, at the time, they had a composition department. They also had a vocal department. But as I said before, I wanted to be a composer. That was important for me. And I also composed things like piano trios and string quartets and woodwind quintets and things like that. And I've won a lot of awards doing that. And I love that. And I really, again, I wasn't really into jazz. I knew a little bit about it. I had one Ella CD and I loved her voice. absolutely loved her voice. I think I also had, my grandmother had a Sarah Vaughan record that was autographed to her, and I loved that record. So I played both of those ladies, but I didn't really expand past those records that I had in my house. I loved them, but I didn't know that that was really my calling at the time. I was still very much a classically trained musician. I end up going to Manhattan School of Music, and I think because they say it's a jazz/commercial program, and I want to go in, I'm 18 years old. I want to learn MIDI, and I want to learn how to, compose music to a track. This is a very specific way to compose music. So I go to the commercial department. I get a full scholarship in the jazz commercial department. I walk in. I'm the only female at the time. It was a while ago. I think it's changed a little bit, except for the singers, but I'm talking about in the musicians and composers. I was the only female at the time. I think there was one trumpet player, Tanya. She was a trumpet player, but that's about it. It was like 200 guys, Tanya and myself, basically, and the singers. And it was such a hardcore jazz program that for the first couple months, I thought like, oh my God, this is not the right choice for me. This is not what I thought I would do. And then I got bitten by the bug. I got my first gig at the Rainbow Room, and I started singing, and I started listening to the arrangements and falling in love with all of these songs, falling in love with this music. And, a lot of jazz people will say I'm a cabaret singer or a musical theater singer, even though I'm not a musical theater person at all. A lot of musical theater people will all call me a jazz artist. All the cabaret people call me a jazz artist. So I really live in that gray area. And I think there's a big gray area, frankly, not a small one. I think it's a big one, because frankly, when you are an interpreter of lyric, I believe that you should have an emotional connection to those lyrics. So that's where the musical theater or the cabaret maybe comes from. However, I also, because I'm an arranger and a composer and a musician, I also have a deep, deep connection to the melody and the harmony and the rhythm. And so that's where my jazz roots come. So I really am coming at it from both sides, I think. And, I'm very happy with where I've ended up in terms of kind of being able to straddle both worlds, really.
Yeah, what you're talking about is very interesting, because there's something about jazz. First of all, jazz is probably the most complex form of music imaginable. And because it's both structured and extemporaneous at the same time, it's a special idiom that other genres of music just don't have. Miles Davis once said, anyone can play the note, but it's how you play the note that really makes a difference. The note itself is almost insignificant. How long do you hold that note? How loud do you sing that note or play that note? And that's what jazz is about. Jazz is about understanding the note in a way that other genres just don't focus on. So
absolutely. And I think the thing also that I loved, and we talked a little bit about scat singing and how to me, that is like my poker night out with the boys. I have so much fun on that stage when I'm doing that. It's challenging for me. It's hard for me. I'm not going to say it's easy. It's not. It's hard for me. Hopefully I will continue to challenge myself. For me, it was like composition while you wait. So I get the best of both worlds. I get to be a composer on stage, and every night it's different. And, I don't know what I'm going to do. And also that collaboration that you talked about, the collaboration between a vocalist improvising and playing off the other musicians. And, you'll hear it in this recording that I just did with Misha and the other guys. It's so incredible. We really wanted this not to feel like a studio record, almost like a live record. We did almost all of my takes or one takes with the band live. We were there for 2 days. That's unfortunately that's the budget of a jazz record. Sometimes it's one day, but I think we probably did 2 takes of each one and then chose the better take. And maybe I fixed a couple things here and there, but there were no, it's totally different than a pop record. the few pop records projects I've been involved in, you might sing one note for a day. It might take
That's
a
right.
day to come up with one little phrase. I mean, it's insane. It's a totally different way to approach it.
Yes.
Not that there's anything wrong with that, but for me, the immediacy of jazz and collaborating with these incredible musicians, you can hear I say something and then Misha echoes it on the piano, or I hear a bass fill and then I incorporate that into the next phrase that I sing or next phrase that I scat. So to me, I have the best of both worlds. I get to be a composer and a singer. It's really, really isolating to be a composer. You sit in a room by yourself all day long and you listen to your own music. Being a
Definitely.
performer, so it's really hard for me just to be a composer. I really love to be out there. And then, of course, when you're in live performance, having that connection with the audience is so incredible.
You know, again, one of the things again about jazz is always in the process of becoming. It's never fully composed, fully completed, fully extended. It's always in the process of becoming, and that's what makes jazz so unique. And any really good jazz musician or jazz vocalist, they literally do not sing the song or play the song the same way twice.
Right.
In other genres, the purpose is to play it the same way twice.
The same. It's a totally different game.
Yeah, it is. It is. Well, look, this is really fascinating. This is what I really wanted to talk about with you. So, okay, so you went to the Manhattan School of Music. You got your first gig very early on.
First break, yeah.
So, I guess before you got to the Manhattan School of Music, because of the household you were in, you could have chosen multiple paths. I know that besides being a musician, you do have other talents, other professional career. So when were you really just a child or in your house when you knew you wanted to be a vocalist?
Yeah, honestly, I don't remember ever thinking that I would do anything else. That just seemed insane. I mean, I think maybe once for 5 minutes, I thought I would be a litigator. I thought I'd be a lawyer because they make a lot of money and I like to argue and I like to perform. So I thought but that was not a real thing. And it was always going to be singing or composing. And and for my sister as well. My sister is an amazing musician. She's a teacher. She's down in NOLA. And she's a choir director and a phenomenal musician. And the two of us we always grew up singing duets. We always grew up singing each other's songs, writing songs. I would write flute parts for her. I would play the piano while she would play the flute. My father would write bossa novas for us to play and sing. It was always music, just always at the piano, always at the piano. I used to think that when you went, this is a true story. My father while I was a baby, again, these are after his Broadway years. He used to, oh my God, he would be the voice teacher for like every chorus kid in New York City. And they would all come and we had a little tiny studio in Manhattan. And so I used to think as a baby, of course, that people would come to somebody's house and start singing scales because that's what everyone does in my house. Like, hi, how are you? Mama, 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 mama. So I grew up with scales my whole life, listening to scales and scales and scales for hours a day. And I think that stuck.
It's funny how people find careers. Your career was decided early on. I found my career by only looking at what I don't want to do.
That's another really good way.
Yeah, I kept saying, nope, cross that one out. I tried law school at Brooklyn Law School at night for one semester. I tried that out too. For me, it was a matter of just deciding what I don't want to do. Whatever was left is what I did. So we come to our careers very differently.
Yeah.
So let's play some of your music for everybody. I want to start off playing the first song, "Spring Can Really Hang You Up." That is a very strange title.
Yes.
So I want you to.
Spring Can Really Hang You Up the most.
The most.
Yes.
Thank you.
The longer title. It's a Fran Landesman tune, and I love this tune. Nobody sings this. It's long, and I love it. I would say the definitive version is there's an Ella Fitzgerald version. for your listeners who want to compare. She's amazing. I think it's a little low for her, actually. Her bottom notes don't resonate quite as well as normally, but because it's a very rangy song. But I've always loved this song, and I'm so excited that we got to finally record it.
Wonderful. Well, let's hear some of your wonderful vocals. Let's play for everybody. Spring can really hang you up.
The most.
The most. All right, here we go.
Once I was a sentimental thing, threw my heart away each spring. Now a spring romance hasn't got a chance, promised my first dance to winter, and all I've got to show is a splinter for my little flame. Spring this year has got me feeling like a horse that never left the post. I lie in my room, staring up at the ceiling. Spring can really hang you up the most. Morning's kiss wakes trees and flowers, and to them I'd like to drink a toast. I walk in the park just to kill the lonely hours. Spring can really hang you up the most. All afternoon, those birds twit. I know the tune. This is love, this is it. I've heard it before, and I know the score. And I've decided that spring is a bore. Love seems so around the new year. Now it's April. Love is just a ghost. Spring arrived on time. Only what became of you, dear? Spring can really hang you up the most. Spring is here, there's no mistaking. Robins building nests from coast to coast. My heart tries to sing so they won't hear it breaking. Spring can really hang you up the most. College boys are writing sonnets to the tender passion there engrossed. promise. Spring can really hang you up the most. Now, love came my way, and I hoped it would last. We had our day, now that's all in the past. Spring came along, that season of song, full of sweet promise, but something went wrong. Doctors once prescribed a tonic, sulfur and molasses was the dose. Didn't help a bit. My condition must be chronic. Spring can really hang you up the most. All alone, the party is over. Old Man Winter was a gray sea's toast. But when you keep praying for snow to hide the clover, spring can really hang you up the most.
Oh, lovely, lovely.
Thank you.
We have a listener, Sophie Kettler.
Hi,
Show
Sophie.
tunes and jazz are almost one and the same.
Yeah, I agree. For me, they are. Yes, thank you. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you.
Yep, I think she's onto something, but I think it's true. The rhythms are really, most show tunes are really jazz rhythms.
Oh gosh, yes. And
So-
if you think about all the jazz tunes were written on the chord changes of what were Broadway show tunes. Those
Exactly.
are the standards. Rodgers and Hart, Rodgers and Hammerstein, Cole Porter, Irving Berlin. That is the jazz canon. It's also the American Songbook. So you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. So that's a beautiful song,
Thank you.
and
Great lyrics too, right?
yeah, the lyrics are terrific. So let's talk a little bit now. Let's just move to something a little different.
Sure.
Let's talk about collaborations, because you are the collaborator in chief. You've done so many collaborations. You also won the Gold Disc Award, in Japan for You Are There, an ambitious compilation featuring vocal piano duets with legendary pianist Dave Brubeck. You worked with Michael Legend, Benny Green, Cedar Walton, Hank Jones, Kenny Barron. How did these collaborations come about? And
that specific. So I was lucky enough to do it's called a record called Duets, and it is what it is. What it sounds like. It's me performing as a duet with different pianists, and I was just really, really lucky, and had a lot of people believing in me, and basically I had gotten to know Oscar Peterson. I was affiliated with Birdland. He started playing Birdland very, very late in his career, really just a few years before he passed away. And he was very good to me. And I ended up recording 4 songs with Mr. Peterson. It was a highlight of my life, really. He was so, so kind, and his family was so kind. And really from that, I had the idea of doing a recording, a series of recordings, I should say, with just pianists, because there's something, I love singing with band. I love singing with big band. I'm lucky enough to sing a lot with orchestras. I sing with symphony orchestras all over the country. I love that. It's great. And I love singing a duet almost more, because there's this intimacy, especially with voice and piano or voice and guitar, that it's really hard when you start adding other people, just the two souls kind of coming together.
In Dixieland in New Orleans, vocalists and pianists are famous. In fact, the pianists are called Professor, like Professor Longhair.
Yeah.
Who I got to meet, by the way, before he passed away. But there was always this intimate relationship in New Orleans jazz between the pianist and the vocalist.
Yes. And so, when I basically, look, if you can get Oscar Peterson to do a duet with you, then every other pianist just lines up. So,
Yeah.
So,
So how did you get? I'm sorry to interrupt, but how did you get this gig with Oscar Peterson?
Well, it really wasn't a gig. I was at Birdland. I got to know him personally, and then he ended up calling me up to one of his gigs, and I sang with him while he was doing his week, and I came to see him. And my manager at the time said, "Would you do after we worked together on stage?" Said, "Would you record with her?" And he said, "Yeah." And so we booked NOLA Studios, which isn't there anymore, unfortunately. But I had recorded there since I was 16 years old, and we were lucky. I was lucky enough to have that experience. And then from there, oh my gosh, everybody, Freddie Cole and Dave. The last one, it almost didn't make the record, was Dave Brubeck. I had a dear friend, Michael Bourne, who used to be a writer for Downbeat. We lost him last year, unfortunately, but he was a dear friend of mine and collaborator as well. We wrote many shows together. And he told me that it was his dream that I record Strange Meadowlark, which was his favorite song. It's a Dave Brubeck composition. And I said, "Hey, if you can get Dave Brubeck to record it, I would love to," thinking that was never going to happen in a million years. And he sent Dave some of the other duets that I had done with the other pianists. And Dave said, "Sure, why not?" And so I got to work with Dave and meet Dave. And he was just an incredible man. And as we were all set just to do the one song. We were just going to do Strange Meadowlark. And as he was just warming up his fingers, he started playing These Foolish Things. And I said, "Oh, I love that song." And he said, "You want to record it?" I said, "Yes."
Wow.
We got 2 recordings with Dave, and also got to play with him just a little bit before he passed away. My duets record is very special to me. I think, looking back at my career, it was the experience of being able to play with these geniuses, these masters. And it was intimidating, but not nearly as much as it might sound it was, because they were all so kind and generous.
Yeah.
They all wanted me to succeed. They didn't come at it that I was, 6 decades younger than, or 7 decades younger than they were at the time. They all came as humans and as musicians and as fellow musicians. And it was this incredible experience. Every single one of those recordings is so special and dear to me. And I treasure those moments with those musicians. It was just an incredible opportunity. I learned so much. You can't imagine. It was like getting a PhD in jazz.
It's interesting. That kind of mentorship, it moves your skill set 20 times faster, because they know what works. And,
absolutely.
So
yeah,
you don't have to try to figure it out on your own.
No, the only thing I had to do is breathe and get out of my own head about, oh my God, I'm in here with Michelle Legrand, I'm in here with Hank Jones, I'm in here with Oscar Peterson. If you think that, then you're not gonna do so well. If you just come at it as, I need to do the best job I can in that moment, and really just listen to those notes, listen to what they're playing for you, and respond to that in an organic way, then that is what, hopefully we ended up getting to record.
Yeah, that's really wonderful. Since we're talking about collaborations, I have a kind of a thought question for you about collaboration. You've collaborated with so many people, but if you could collaborate with any musician, composer, lyricist, vocalist, producer from any century, anywhere in the world, when you think back on your musical education and who would you want to collaborate with and why?
Oh my God! I mean, we could spend 5 more hours. I think I think for the next year I'm going to think of a different person every day, because that's such a deep, amazing thought to think about. I think I'm going to say, I grew up just in awe of my dad on stage and listening to his stories about some of the great players that he worked with. And he was lucky enough to have worked with Leonard Bernstein, and in not just in Wonderful Town, in West Side Story, and also in his opera Trouble in Tahiti. My dad did the world premiere of Trouble in Tahiti with Bernstein conducting. And I just, as a young kid, used to think about that and just, go gaga. So I would say if I could do anything, although I don't know if we'd be good collaboration partners, I would love to work with Leonard Bernstein. I think that would just be the most incredible experience. I don't know, but I would love it.
So somebody I went to high school with, John Messeri, who became the director and the maestro for the Yale Symphony Orchestra, and he worked with Bernstein for a number of years. And everyone that who's told me about Bernstein always talks about how gracious he was and how giving of his time and experience.
Yes, yes, I heard that too. And he actually baked my father's 21st birthday cake.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
For me, it's like that's maybe kind of living a part of my dad's life that I didn't get to see because I wasn't around, I wasn't alive during those early years of my dad's career that were really like the heyday of his career. I actually saw the movie Maestro, and I was just like, just hanging on every single scene because in my mind, it was like reliving part of my dad's life a little bit, that I didn't get to be a part of the first time around.
Wonderful. Well, look, I want to keep playing more of your music.
Great, let's do it. This is world premiere.
Time is moving on quickly.
World premiere. I'm so excited.
Yeah, let's play Too Close for Comfort.
Okay.
Let's play that, and then afterwards you can tell us a little bit about it, okay?
Okay.
Be wise, be smart, behave, my heart. Don't upset your cart when he's so close. Be soft, be sweet, but be discreet. Don't go off your feet. He's too close for comfort. Too close for comfort. Oh, please, not again. Too close to know just when to say when. Be firm, be fair, be sure, beware. On your guard, take care while there's such temptation. One thing leads to another. Too late to run for cover. He's much too close for comfort now. smart. Behave, my heart. Don't upset your card when she's so close. Be soft, be sweet, but be discreet. Don't go off your feet, she's too close for comfort. Too close for comfort. Please not again. Too close to know just when to say when. Be firm, be fair, be absolutely sure. Beware, on your guard, take care while there's such temptation. One thing leads to another, too late to run for cover. It's much too close for comfort now. One thing leads to another, too late to run for cover. It's much too close for comfort now.
Sorry about that. Got a little delay there.
That's okay. Ah,
I was looking at some of the comments from people listening in. Kevin Erman, we should learn to scat like that. And your horn section's off the chain.
yeah, that's Tatum Greenblatt. He's incredible, amazing jazz trumpet player. He did the overdubs. That he was there in the studio. I have some great pictures of the two of us. In these little jazz studios, there's not a lot of space, so I'm in the booth, and he was literally in this. We ran out of room for him, and so he was in the sound booth. He was actually playing in the sound booth while the engineer was there. But it was great because I got to see him, which was really fun. And listening to horn players play and just trying to do that thing and doing it for many, many years, Kevin. Many years.
Yeah, what's remarkable is the horn player is like another voice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The way he interprets the music, it's clear. He's really following along with your vocals. He's really matching up with them beautifully. So that was great. There's more comments I just want to show you from other people. 1 second. Here's another comment.
Oh, thank you. I love the arrangement. I do too. It's so fun, right? This is a Sammy Davis. I mean, it's not, he didn't write it, but he kind of had the first real big hit on it with Sammy Davis Jr. And I really, really wanted to do a Sammy tune. I thought that would be really fun. Again, my dad was in Mr. Wonderful with Sammy Davis Jr. on Broadway in the 50s.
Oh, wow.
So I really wanted to make this a part. I've never done a Sammy Davis thing. But this is a Misha Piatigorsky, my pianist. He produced the record. He did all the arrangements, which is unusual. Almost every other recording I've done all of the arrangements. This is the first time I kind of let go. I got young kids. I don't have time to do arrangements right now. I'm writing musical. And Misha did it. And it was such a great experience. I got to just be a singer. Instead of wearing all the hats. I love that too. And I'm a bit of a control freak. You can ask my husband. But it was nice to just be the girl singer and go in and just worry about that one thing. It was really fun.
Here's Kelly Brock. Your voice angelically soars above the music.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's really high. So I had to, it was one of those things I was like, let's try this. I think we did it first. I think this was the first song of the day.
Oh, you still had your chops. Yeah.
I was afraid, I don't know, I might not have the chops at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's another one. Louis Lester. Love it, Hilary. Either they're fans already or you're getting a lot of fans.
I love it. I need more. I have to make a comeback. So please.
Well, the way you sing, it's like you never left.
Thank you so much.
Okay, let's shift and talk about, since we talked about arranging, let's talk about songwriting a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. I know you've done a lot of covers.
Yeah.
But you also were a songwriter. So I'm just curious, how do you begin to compose a song? You're a vocalist. Do you start with the lyrics, or do you start with a melody, and also, are you involved in the production from end to end?
Yeah.
Including post production, after the song's recorded. So why don't you tell everybody just basically, how do you approach songwriting?
Songwriting is, so different than interpreting someone else's music. And I'm a composer first. I'm a fair to Midland lyricist. I think I'm a good composer. So I find myself always at the piano, sitting at the piano, and usually it happens at the same time, or I might just start playing a moody thing, and then a lyric will come, just a little part, a little sliver, and then I will sing it, and then it will happen organically usually at the same time. I very rarely come up with a lyric. I never come up with a lyric first for songwriting. It's always the melody, and then the lyric just kind of comes out. It's much easier for me to write melody than it is lyric. So I might stay on the first A section for a month or two until I can find the second A section. But the melody usually comes very fast for me. So the lyric writing is harder for me. That's unusual. I would say probably most singers, it's the opposite way.
Huh. That's really interesting, because do you ever just start humming a tune in your head?
Oh yeah, I have about 300 voice messages to myself. In the car, I've had to pull over because you shouldn't be doing that, and like sing it in. I got that. Okay, good. Waiting for my kids at school. I'm singing in them. I'm like, everyone thinks I'm crazy because I'm constantly singing into this. The problem is I never listen back, but I have them here. One day I'll have to take like a week and listen to all these things. I might have gold. This might be my Grammy. Might be in here. I have no idea.
I kind of talked about this before the show started tonight. How do you know when to let go of a song? You don't want to overproduce it, but you want to make sure it has all the elements you want. So how do you do that?
It's so hard. What always happens to me, like I hear that track, I hear one of the songs we just listened to, and my first reaction is like, oh yeah, it's not as bad as I thought. That's good. And then I'll listen to a second time and a third time and a fourth time. And then I'm like, oh God, that E flat is a little bitchy and we got it. And it's really hard to let it go. It's really, I think I don't know a musician who's like, yeah, it's so easy. Just let it go out in the world. It's really, really hard to let it go. I do have the standard of if I can't sing it live as good, then it shouldn't be on my record. I have to be able to sing those notes every night, 8 shows a week, or else I'm not putting it on my record. Because you can do anything in the studio. The big joke is like the singer does a horrible take and the Pro Tools engineer goes, that was horrible, come on in. Because he can get all of it now, like But I don't pitch tune. It's pitchy. There's some things that like a little bit off, or a little bit high, or a little bit low. But for me, that's kind of the grittiness and the realness of what this is, and what I'm trying, and the emotion. If you take all of that out, it just becomes pretty, but there's no emotional behind it.
Well, I've had Sheryl Crow on this show, and she is, she's livid about the way music songwriting is done today. It's not done by a songwriter. It's done by a team with a computer. That's right. The computer tells them where the hook is and what it should be, and what the chorus. And
everything sounds the same.
Yes,
and
everything is looped.
Yeah.
I don't like to make negative comments about genres in music, but in the past 25 years, technology has overwhelmed artistry, and a lot's been lost in the process. When we went to now everything is digital. Before it was analog. That's right. And analog was much softer and had more resonant and had more texture. And now streaming even diminishes digital. And that's why Neil Young for years just refused to have his show, any of his music streamed, because he said it doesn't sound like I wrote it or sang it. And
it's very sad. And I think with jazz, that's the great thing about jazz is you're still going to see live music. That's what's so important about live music. The problem with pop is even when you go to live music with pop, you're not listening to the singer. Come on, they're not singing.
They're doing it's cakewalk.
It's a track, and they have the tracks there, and it is what it is because that's what they're paying. There's so many hundreds of millions of dollars put into those big productions that it has to be a certain way. But when you go into a jazz room, no one is changing anything. It is unfiltered.
Definitely. Well, let's play another of your songs because we keep running down on time here.
Thanks.
So let's see where are we up to now. I think we're going to play now. My Foolish Heart.
Oh, I love this again.
So why don't you tell everybody the origins of this song?
I mean, this, one of my favorite living, I have a lot of favorite dead singers and musicians. One of my favorite living singers is Kurt Elling. And I remember watching him sing this many years ago. This is kind of one of his definitive song recordings. It's, and I always wanted to do it, and I have never done it. And I wanted to do a different arrangement. And this is Misha's arrangement. He came up with this glorious arrangement. I think it's sexy and sensual and exciting. So that's all I'm going to say. But maybe, I don't know. You tell me what you guys think.
Before we play it, there's always so much I want to talk to you about. I know some of your albums have a theme, but a lot of them don't. How do you decide on the mix between originals and covers, and how do you decide which ones go together to be coherent?
Really, I don't know. It's like I'm a chef without a cookbook, and like what's in the fridge? I don't know. Sometimes there's songs that I've been doing. I literally will just sit. I mean, I'm especially younger in my life. I would take a fake book. I would go to the piano and I would literally go through the 400 pages of the fake book, this thick, and just see, is this catching my eye? Is that, maybe I could do that a different way. I really like taking something that's been done, maybe it's been done as a up tempo for most, that's how everybody knows it, really bringing it down. I've done that a lot, or vice versa. So it really is what hits me and what I think I can bring value to. I can't sing every song as well. What is naturally fitting in my voice. Some songs are really hard and I have to work hard to figure out how I'm going to kind of mold this sculpture. Oftentimes I don't know what it's going to be yet. You're looking at a stone and you're like, how is that going to work? And so with this record, it was a combination of songs that I have been singing for the last year or so in live performances in New York City and all over, and a bunch of songs that I had never sung before. So this is one of the songs. Also, the last one that we just listened to, I had never done before the recording, really. Just, maybe one gig before the recording. So these two.
Again, it separates jazz again from other forms of music. When in other forms of music, other genres, when they do a cover, they want to sound like the original band. In jazz, the idea is not to sound like the original.
Not at all. Like, what can you do different? Yeah,
exactly.
Different.
Yeah.
So, but I really love. I love singing this song. It's just we actually, you're going to hear the rhythm section is going to be kind of cooking, but the actual melody is so slow that it took all of my breathing powers to get through the end of the line. It's kind of like molasses. That's why I like it.
All right, let's hear My Foolish Heart by Hilary Kole.
foolish eyes. How bright the ever constant moon. Take care, my foolish heart. There's a line between love and fascination that's hard to see in an evening such as this. For they both give the very same sensation when they're wrapped in the magic of a kiss. Your lips are much too close to mine. Beware, my foolish heart. But should our eager lips combine, then let the magic start. For this time, it isn't fascination or a dream that will fade and fall apart. It's love this time, my love. It's love, my foolish heart.
Absolutely beautiful. Very
Thank
incredible.
you.
We have so many more comments coming in.
I love it, my people.
Terry Gilmore, wow, I know this song well, and you've created a masterpiece. Bravo, Hilary.
Guys, I'm so excited. This literally, I just got these recordings. Mel can tell you, like, if they went, I was just like, here forward, they're coming. He actually said to me, I need a fourth song. And I was like, okay, let me get you one. Hurry up, guy. Like, it's, oh my gosh.
Here's another one, Alex Devlin. Your vocal inflections and tonality bring such emotion to the lyrics.
Thank you.
Another one, beautiful, Alice Costello.
Guys, thank you. Thank you
Kenny
so much.
Clapton, your voice is magnificent.
Thank you.
Lucy Peterson, what is your octave range? I can't keep up.
It's not that. It's not as, it's, you know, a lot of people say like, oh, she has a 5-octave range. I don't, by the way. I mean, I'm like, I guess 3, but like a little 3, not a big 3.
Wow, it sounds much wider than that to me. I'm surprised. George Grant, you love Streisand. Please record Evergreen.
You know, I mean, it's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Jazz Streisand.
Because your voice would fit that beautifully.
A lot of people think she couldn't swing. She was great. She could swing. She could swing.
Oh yeah.
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 So
And she
as well. Oh my God.
She did a lot of duets with Barry Gibbs. You know, what's the country singer? With a beard, gray beard, wonderful.
Oh,
Kenny.
Yes.
What's his last name?
Kenny Rogers.
Kenny Rogers. Thank you. Yes, she did duets with Kenny Rogers. I mean, she did a lot of duets too.
Oh, and she crossed over. You know,
Yes.
Broadway performer, but also pop, also some musical theater, jazz, everything. She could do anything.
Absolutely.
I'm so sick of people putting people into tiny little boxes. That's not how art works. Just
it's like smooth jazz. What's smooth jazz? Smooth jazz is anything but smooth. You know, it's fun.
Miles Davis, like, you know, I don't know, depending on the decade, is depending on what kind
funk, it's soul, it's R&B, it's blues. You know, that's what smooth jazz is. So when people say, "Well, you're a smooth jazz artist," what in the world does that mean? You know?
Not rough.
Yeah, exactly. That's about it. Look, we're running out of time, so I got to go to the last song. You know, I'm definitely gonna have you back because we got so much more I really want to talk about.
You have the nicest people. They say only nice things. Maybe you're just not showing me the bad comments.
No, if I get a bad comment, I'll put it up as long as it's over. You know, but there aren't any. I haven't seen one. I seldom see them. Okay, so the last song is "Nobody But You." Nobody but me.
Nobody else but nobody else but me. I love this song. I have been singing this song for many years, and I finally got the I'll say it. I finally got the balls to do a scat on a record on a really tough tune. So here it is. That's all.
Terrific. Okay, so this song is "Nobody Else But Me" by Hilary Kole.
Be no one but me. I am in love with a lover who likes me the way that I am. I have my faults, he likes my faults. I'm not very bright, but he's not very bright. And he thinks I'm grand. That's grand for me. He may be wrong, but if we get along, what do we care, say we? When he holds me close, close as we can be, I tell the lad that I'm grateful and I'm glad to be nobody else. with a lover who likes me the way that I am. I have my faults, he likes my faults. I'm not very bright, but he's not very bright, and he thinks I'm grand. That's grand for me. He may be wrong, but if we get along, what do we care? Say we're walking on the shore, and we're swinging in the sea. And when I'm with him, I'm glad the girl who's with him is nobody else but me.
Oh man, that was spectacular. You got a whole slew of comments on this one.
Oh my God! All right, thanks guys so much. Thank you.
Are you performing anywhere on the West Coast? Because I'm coming.
Oh, I can't wait. I've been there before. I've done Catalina's a bunch of times in LA. Not too much, unfortunately. Maybe Heilsberg or the jazz festival out there, possibly. So you can go to my website, HilaryKole.com. Mel just yelled at me because it's outdated. He's right. I'm gonna work on it. In a month, it's gonna be nicer. It's gonna be all cool, and I'm gonna have lots of videos up. But you can also follow me I'm on Instagram. I'm not on X. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. So I would, my website has performances coming up, and I would love to continue to hear all these comments. If you have ideas about what I should call this record, come let me know.
Okay. Do you know Brian Culbertson?
I don't know Brian.
Brian's on the West Coast. He is a consummate entertainer. When he does a show, he actually he doesn't physically do it, but he does his own lighting, he does his own staging, and in Sonoma County in California, he has his own festival, and he has it in Chicago too. And you would be perfect for that festival.
I'm getting gigs. Who would even know? Thank you so much. You know everybody, but I'm very, very impressed with you.
Well, thank you. But I'd like to hook you up with Brian. So
you're such a doll. You're such a doll.
Here's more comments. Dennis Long, when you scat with a trumpet, is so effing cool.
Oh man, so I had the first part of it, the vocalese, I'll call it the vocalese, when I'm doing the same notes as the piano and trumpet and flute. I said, Misha, write me something that no one else can sing, and then I had to learn it. So that part I learned, and then when I went off, that was all my original scat in the studio.
How much do you rehearse? How much do you rehearse something like that before you?
Not at all, like barely. I think we did one day for a couple hours. Everyone was late.
But you don't even do it on your own?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a musician first, so I don't need someone to hold my hand. And when I teach, I don't teach very often, but when I teach, it's so important for me to make sure that young singers understand that they have to know more than everybody else in that bandstand. You have to be better than everybody else if you're going to be believable as a jazz singer.
Yep. Well, if you want to be good in any profession, you got to think that way too. But Dennis Long, scatting is such a beautiful lost art.
It is. I agree with you.
There's another one. Morris Hillquit. When is this album coming out? I want one.
Early 2025. We have 5 more tracks to master. These are the only 4 that are even mastered. So we're mixing, we're getting it all. My vocals are done, and the mixing is done. We have to do something called mastering, which is beyond me, but it makes it sound as good as all the other records out there. So that's what's going on right now.
Is there a pre-sale link on your website that they can?
Not yet. I mean, this is literally, I shouldn't even be, this is a surprise that I did this.
Okay. I love it. I'm so pleased that you decided to do it on my show.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
Here's another one. Perry Donovan.
Oh,
what a delightful evening. Thank you, Hilary and Mel.
Thank you so much. My pleasure.
Wonderful. Well, Hilary, this has been a delightful evening, and we're way over time, which is okay.
I'm sorry.
No. This is one of the beauties about this kind of show. There is no really deadline.
Yeah.
So we get to explore everything that we want to explore, and there's still, again, so much left unsaid. I want to have you back again.
I would love that.
Yeah.
I would love that.
When the album drops, come on, I'll have you back.
Absolutely, and I'll keep you posted. And everyone else out there, thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. It makes me so excited and really warms my heart. Yeah,
we have a good crowd tonight. I'm looking at, just on this station alone, we have 191,410 people.
What?
Yeah, what? And it's from all over.
I'll make $4 on Spotify.
Yeah, that's funny you mentioned that.
Every single one of you downloads it.
Someone would say to me, I have 150,000 spins, and I said, great, you made $79.
I know. That's the next. We'll do a bottle of wine. I'll open a bottle of wine, and we will talk about that on our next.
By the way, are you doing this new album? Are you doing it in vinyl?
We are going to be doing this in vinyl. So we will press CDs, but we're putting it out in vinyl. I've never done that before. I'm going to have to go find a record player. But I have all these old vinyls that I just haven't listened to in many decades. So I'm really
vinyl is the fastest growth form of music out there today.
I think people are starving for something real, and it just sounds so much better and warmer and not digital. I think we've just wasted a whole generation of people on the digital world. And I literally, as I said, I'm a mom. I'm calling the schools to tell them to take tech out of our schools. I'm behind banning cell phones for kids. It's just awful. It's awful for music. It's awful for our brains. It's awful for our attention spans. It's awful for the emotional impact that music has. So yeah, vinyl. Yes.
Just as a little side note, I was the executive director of a new graduate business program at McDaniel College in Maryland, and I was teaching some courses also. And I was walking into one of the buildings, and I see, and this is back in 2009 or 2010. I see like 7 or 8 kids standing around, laughing, and they're texting. And I said, I stopped, and I said, "Are you texting each other?" And they said, and they laughed. They said, "Yeah." I said, "Why would you do that? You're standing right next to the person." And they said, because we're more comfortable than we are talking. Yeah. Very strange.
Crazy times.
Yeah.
Well, Mel, thank you so much. This has been so fun. I really
thank you.
I'll see you
it's
again.
It's been a real pleasure, and we'll see you again very soon. Okay. Good night, Helen.
Thank you. Good night.
Well, everybody, next week we have another marvelous guest. I know you enjoyed tonight. And next week we have Cecily. I've had Cecily on the show before. This isn't the first time. And Cecily is an amazing vocalist, and she's somebody you're really going to enjoy. She does beautiful soul music and R&B and jazz, and she's just phenomenal. So come on back next week and another session of the Jazz Confusion Power Hour. I'm your host, Mel Albin, and I wanted to say good night to everybody, and I hope you have a wonderful week. Mel Albin. I'm the host and the founder of the Jazz Confusion Power
My name
Hour.
is Dion Parson, and I'm honored to share my passion of music with you, our listening audience, through my cultural heritage.
Things can change for you too. If you want to be brand new, that is absolutely possible.